Before we begin, I want you to imagine this walking into a room and feeling emotions that were never spoken, sensing pain that was never shared, carrying burdens that were never yours. For some, that sounds impossible, but for an empath, it is daily reality. And here's the truth. What many people see as weakness is, in fact, one of the most extraordinary strengths a human being can carry. Because the world doesn't just need louder voices, it needs deeper hearts. It needs people who can see behind the mask, who can sit in silence and still heal, who can carry the unseen weight of others and still rise. This message is not just a speech. It is a reminder of the power within you, the resilience you may have overlooked, and the strength that hides in your sensitivity. If you've ever been told you feel too much, if you've ever questioned why you carry the pain of others so heavily, then this is for you. Stay with me until the very end, because by the time we finish, you will no longer see your empathy as a burden. You will see it as your superpower, the very thing that makes you unshakable in a world that desperately needs hearts like yours. The weight of others' emotions is something that most people never truly notice, but for an empath, it is impossible to ignore. When someone walks into a room, they do not just see a smile or hear the words being spoken, they feel the truth that lies beneath. They sense the frustration that is hidden behind polite laughter, the sadness that hides in silence, the anxiety masked by confidence, and the anger covered by calm expressions. It is like carrying an invisible backpack, but instead of their own belongings, it is filled with the emotions, fears, and hopes of everyone around them. This is not something they choose. It happens naturally, and it is both a gift and a heavy responsibility. For many empaths, this constant flood of emotions can feel like waves crashing against their chest, each one leaving its impact before another arrives. Imagine being in a crowded place where conversations, energies, and moods swirl together like a storm. While most people pass through unaffected, the empath walks out drained, carrying fragments of pain, joy, and confusion that were never theirs to begin with. They might not even be aware of why they feel heavy or exhausted. But deep down it is because they have absorbed more than they could hold. And yet, in this very weight lies something powerful. To carry the emotions of others is to understand the human condition on a level that most cannot. It is to step into someone's shoes without them ever having to explain. It is to see the hidden tears behind unshaken eyes and to know that everyone is fighting a battle most cannot see. This ability, though exhausting, gives the empath an extraordinary strength. Because they carry so much, they learn patience, compassion, and tolerance. They become the quiet anchors in storms where others would fall apart. They sense when someone needs comfort without a word being spoken. They know when silence is the greatest medicine. They feel when encouragement is needed, even when no one dares to ask for it. While others may dismiss emotions as weakness, empaths know that emotions are the core of every human story, and carrying them, even temporarily, is an act of courage. But make no mistake, this weight is not light. Carrying others' emotions means sometimes forgetting their own. It means being misunderstood because the world often values toughness over tenderness. Yet, the empath does not complain. They may suffer in silence, but within that silence, they grow stronger. Each burden they carry for others makes them wiser. Each wave of emotion they survive makes them more resilient, and each act of compassion makes the world a little softer. To be an empath is to walk a road that demands more from the heart than from the mind. It is to feel deeply in a world that often encourages numbness. It is to carry more than most can imagine, but also to give more than most can ever offer. And while the weight may feel endless, it is in that weight that the empath discovers their true power, the ability to connect, to heal, and to remind others that no one is ever truly alone in their struggles. The silent strength of an empath is one of the most underrated forces in this world. Strength is often mistaken for volume, for dominance, for being the loudest in the room or the one with the most control. But real strength, the kind that touches hearts and transforms lives, is often the kind that doesn't announce itself. It moves quietly, it whispers instead of shouts, and it shows up in the smallest of actions. An empath embodies this kind of strength. They do not need to prove themselves with power because their presence alone carries weight. They can sit in a room, say very little, yet their energy can calm storms inside someone else's mind. That is not weakness. That is a power very few can ever master. When someone shares their pain, most people listen with their ears, but an empath listens with their soul. They don't just hear the words, they feel the emotion behind them. They give people the gift of being truly understood, without judgment, without interruption, without trying to fix everything. Sometimes what a broken person needs most is not advice, not solutions, but someone who can carry their silence and still make them feel safe. The empath provides that sanctuary. They know how to hold space to let another person breathe in their truth without fear of rejection. That ability to listen, to absorb, to embrace someone exactly where they are is a strength that changes, lives in ways words never could. It takes courage to sit with people in their pain because pain is heavy. It takes resilience to listen without letting your own emotions spill over. It takes patience to allow someone to heal in their own time. An empath's strength is not measured in what they can endure for themselves alone, but in how much they can endure for others while still standing. They are the ones who remain steady when someone else is crumbling, the ones who carry the invisible weight that others cannot, and the ones who reflect back hope even in the darkest conversations. Silent strength is not about showing off, it is about showing up. In a world where many chase recognition, an empath's strength is often invisible. There are no trophies for understanding someone's tears. There are no awards for carrying another's burden in silence. There is no stage for the quiet kind of healing they provide. And yet, behind countless smiles, behind countless recoveries, behind countless acts of courage from others, there is often an empath who gave their silent strength in the background. They are the unspoken heroes, the unseen pillars holding up the fragile parts of humanity. This strength, however, does not always feel like strength to them. Often it feels like exhaustion, like carrying too much, like giving away pieces of themselves. But in truth, it is evidence of an extraordinary capacity, a capacity not everyone is blessed with, to walk quietly through life yet leave trails of healing, to say little yet mean everything, to simply be present and change the atmosphere of a room. That is the strength of an empath. They don't roar, they don't demand, they don't force, but their silent strength can mend wounds that noise never could. Boundaries protect empathy in the same way walls protect a garden. Without boundaries, what is precious inside begins to wither under the weight of too much exposure. An empath has a heart that feels like an open door, absorbing everything that passes through, both joy and sorrow, both light and darkness. But when that door is never closed, when there is no filter between their heart and the world, they begin to drown in the very emotions they are trying to carry for others. This is why boundaries are not selfish. They are survival. They are not about shutting people out. They are about ensuring the empath has the strength to continue showing up without breaking apart. Too often, an empath believes that to love deeply means to give endlessly, that to care means to carry everything without question. But when you carry every burden without pause, you eventually collapse under the weight. Boundaries remind the empath that they cannot save everyone. They cannot fix every broken heart, and they cannot pour from a cup that is empty. By saying no at times, by stepping back when needed, by protecting their own energy, they allow their gift to remain powerful instead of becoming destructive. Without boundaries, empathy turns into exhaustion. Kindness turns into bitterness, and compassion becomes a wound instead of a strength. It takes courage for an empath to set boundaries because their instinct is always to give, to help, to heal. Saying no feels unnatural, like abandoning someone who is hurting. But the truth is, without limits, the empath loses themselves. Boundaries create space for renewal, for self-care, for reflection. They allow the empath to give from a place of strength instead of weakness, from fullness instead of emptiness. It is like drawing a line around their soul, not to keep love out, but to protect their capacity to love in the long run. When they learn this balance, their empathy does not fade. It grows deeper, healthier, and more impactful. The world often misunderstands boundaries. People may see them as coldness, rejection, or lack of care. But in reality, they are the opposite. Boundaries are what allow the empath to keep caring without burning out, to keep showing up without resentment, to keep loving without losing themselves in the process. They are not walls that divide. They are shields that preserve. Just as a healer must protect their own hands, the empath must protect their own heart. Otherwise, their gift becomes a burden that crushes instead of lifts. When an empath learns to set boundaries, they do not become less compassionate. They become stronger, wiser, and more effective in their compassion. They learn that saying no to something that drains them is really saying yes to being able to show up more fully for the things that matter most. They learn that protecting their peace is not selfish, but necessary. And they finally understand that their empathy is not meant to carry every weight, but to carry the right ones with grace, clarity, and strength. Turning sensitivity into resilience is one of the greatest transformations an empath can experience. Sensitivity is often labeled as weakness in a world that praises toughness and emotional detachment. People may tell you that you feel too much, that you cry too easily, that you care too deeply, as if those qualities are flaws instead of gifts. But sensitivity, when understood and channeled, becomes the foundation of resilience. It becomes the ability not only to survive life's storms, but to rise from them stronger, wiser, and more grounded than before. An empath feels deeply, and because of that, life cuts them sharper. Rejections sting more, conflicts weigh heavier, and disappointments leave deeper marks. But here is the truth: what cuts deep also builds depth. The same sensitivity that brings pain also brings awareness, insight, and the capacity to adapt. Every wound felt teaches an empath something about endurance. Every emotional storm weathered adds another layer of strength to their spirit. Where others numb themselves to avoid pain, an empath allows themselves to feel it fully, and in doing so, they discover how to grow from it. Resilience is not about ignoring pain or pretending it doesn't exist. It is about walking through it, carrying it, and learning from it until it no longer has the power to control you. Sensitivity gives the empath a front row seat to emotions, but resilience gives them the courage to keep sitting in that seat even when the show is hard to watch. This is why empaths can be some of the strongest people in the room, though the world may not always see it. They bend, but they do not break. They cry, but they rise. They fall, but they return with more wisdom than before. What makes resilience so powerful for an empath is that it transforms their greatest challenge into their greatest strength. Instead of being consumed by every emotion, they learn to use emotions as teachers. Anger shows them where boundaries are needed. Sadness shows them where love was real. Joy reminds them of what is worth protecting. Anxiety points toward areas that need clarity and peace. Every feeling, no matter how heavy, becomes a lesson rather than a limitation. Sensitivity becomes a guide that leads them through life, and resilience ensures they never lose themselves in the process. When an empath masters this transformation, they no longer see their sensitivity as a curse, but as a compass. They understand that their ability to feel so deeply gives them the unique power to connect, to inspire, and to heal, but they also know how to protect their heart when the world becomes too heavy. This balance creates an unshakable strength. Life's challenges still come, but instead of being drowned by them, the empath learns to ride the waves, to let the storm shape them without destroying them. They become both gentle and unbreakable, soft yet steady, sensitive yet strong. And that is the true essence of resilience: to feel everything, to carry much, and to still rise every time life tries to push you down. Healing through presence is one of the most remarkable powers an empath holds, and it is often overlooked because it seems so simple. Many people believe healing requires answers, solutions, or grand gestures, but an empath knows that sometimes the deepest form of healing comes from simply being there. Presence carries an energy that words cannot replicate. When someone is hurting, they do not always need advice or explanations. They need to feel that they are not alone in their pain. An empath offers this gift effortlessly through their quiet presence, their attentive eyes, their calm energy, and their ability to hold space without judgment. There is something sacred about sitting with someone in their struggle without trying to fix it. It tells the other person, I see you, I hear you, and I am with you. That kind of presence becomes a safe harbor in the middle of their storm. An empath has the ability to step into that moment fully, without distractions, without impatience, making the hurting person feel like, for once, they matter completely. This kind of healing doesn't require the right words. It doesn't require action plans. It doesn't even require a solution. It requires presence, and that presence is powerful beyond measure. For an empath, this comes naturally because they feel what others feel. They don't just sit across from someone's pain, they sit inside it. And while this can be heavy, it also allows them to give comfort in a way that feels authentic. The person who is struggling doesn't feel pitied. They feel understood. They don't feel like a burden. They feel valued. Healing through presence works because it reminds people that they are seen in their entirety, not just in their brokenness. Think about how rare that is in today's world. People are busy, distracted, consumed by their own lives, and rarely offer undivided attention. But when an empath shows up fully, shutting out noise and locking in with genuine care, it creates a healing atmosphere that words alone could never achieve. That presence can calm anxiety, ease loneliness, and even rekindle hope. It gives people permission to let their guard down and breathe for the first time in a long while. This gift does not mean the empath has to carry every burden or take responsibility for fixing what is broken. In fact, the beauty of healing through presence is that it does not require solving anything at all. It simply requires staying and holding space. The empath does not have to change the storm for someone else. They simply sit beside them in the rain so that person doesn't feel drenched alone. That presence, consistent and genuine, plants seeds of healing that may grow long after the moment has passed. When an empath embraces this power, they discover that their value lies not in doing everything, but in being everything someone needs in a moment of pain, a safe place, a steady hand, a silent strength. Healing through presence teaches us that sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer is not our advice, not our solutions, but our heart, our time, and our unwavering willingness to simply be there. When we bring all of this together, it becomes clear that being an empath is not a burden. It is a rare and powerful gift. To feel the weight of others' emotions, to carry silent strength, to protect your heart with boundaries, to turn sensitivity into resilience, and to heal through presence. These are not signs of weakness, but signs of extraordinary courage. The world may not always understand the depth of what you carry, but never forget that your empathy is a force that changes lives, even in ways you may never see. You are proof that gentleness can be powerful, that compassion can be transformative, and that quiet hearts often leave the loudest impact. So, to every empath listening, carry your gift with pride. Do not let the world convince you to numb it, hide it, or silence it. Protect it, strengthen it, and use it wisely, because it is through your heart that light enters spaces that would otherwise remain dark. I want to wish you nothing but courage on this journey. May you continue to rise stronger, love deeper, and remain steady in a world that needs your compassion now more than ever. Good luck. Keep moving forward. And thank you for giving me your time and your open heart today.